Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back. We are now with our friend Jaime Breeze, our medium, our psychic, our animal communicator, and so much more. Welcome back today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Jill. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's so exciting to see you here in person. For those that are tuning in on the radio side of things, we're also on a live Zoom. So just want to point out it's the first time I get to see her face to face, which is awesome. She looks beautiful. She's got all Christmas tree decorated behind her. Jaime, please introduce yourself to our listeners today.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Jaime Breeze. As Jill said, I'm a psychic, spiritual medium, and animal communicator.
Wow.
I am in Jasper National Park up in Canada. However, I do work internationally with my clients, so over Zoom. So if you're looking to reach out to a loved one on the other side, or whether it's a human or an animal, or you have any animal behavioral, physical issues, feel free to reach out to me.
Super cool. All right. To start off, how do we get in touch with you? The website's jaimebreeze.com. That's how do you spell it?
JAIMEBREEZE.com and on Instagram at The Mountain Medium.
Perfect. So let's get started. I mean, today, obviously, sometimes there's first timers here getting to know you. I think it's important that we point out a little bit about yourself. How did you know you had this gift, this talent, and how long have you been working it like this? Because you're helping so many people and animals and loved ones. And it's really fascinating to talk to someone like you. I'm, honored. It's so cool. It's just you, I'm sure, but it's so fascinating to know someone with this gift.
Oh, thanks, Jill.
Welcome.
So I believe I started at the age of 3, if not sooner, as
Wow.
crazy as that sounds. I started seeing spirit and talking to animals from such a young age, and I thought it was normal. I thought everyone around me was doing the same thing. And then, after conversing with my parents and friends, and they're looking at me like, no, I don't talk to my cat like that. I started realizing, okay, maybe this is something I need to harness and look into more. And thankfully, I had such supportive parents that they helped me go through this. As a teenager, it is quite challenging, when you are with your peers at that age, and all these spirits are coming into your room and talking to you and feeling all these different emotions and feelings behind it. To have the support of my family was definitely tremendous. So over the years, I've really just harnessed it. I've worked with spiritual healers around the world, taking workshops and trying to increase my spiritual abilities. And then a few years ago, I just decided to launch my professional career in this. And it's taken me to this area and meeting you now, Jill, which is really cool.
Everyone's connected, right?
Yeah. And the beauty of the technology and internet this day and age is that I can work anywhere in the world with people. So whether you're in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, anywhere, feel free to reach out to me. Zoom is such a cool thing. And the other interesting fact is our spirits on the other side, they can work through the internet as well. So you don't have to be sitting in front of me for me to connect with your loved ones.
Oh my goodness. Wow. This is fascinating, the work you do. So where did you want to start? Because there's so much to you that you could help people with. So I'll ask you, where do you want to begin?
Well, Jill, you mentioned my Christmas tree behind me. So I really wanted to talk today about the holiday season and how tricky it can be after we lose a pet or a loved one to the other side. So I wanted to give some examples today for everyone listening or watching, some signs your loved ones in heaven are visiting you over the Christmas holidays. So being with family and having the energy behind this magical time actually encourages the energy of spirit to come closer to us. And I think it's really cool if you know what signs to kind of look for from your loved ones. It can really enhance your holiday experience instead of being sad or from losing someone you love to the other side. You can maybe see these signs and get a spark back in you over the holiday season and be able to enjoy yourself.
Well, what type of signs do people normally get? Because some people kind of brush it off. So what type of...
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mm.
an awesome sign that a lot of people will receive are dimes and coins. So if you're finding dimes throughout your house, it's not a coincidence. Angels and our loved
Really?
ones, yeah, love to send us coins.
Oh,
They're
wow.
messengers from our angels. So I want to give you guys a really cool example of someone who was finding dimes from their dog who had transitioned to the other side. And it's a really one of my favorite stories. And it's actually, it was my partner. He's an electrician. And after one of our dogs passed away a few years ago, he was working in a house from the 1950s.
Wow.
So he had to go in and take all this 70-year-old electrical stuff out of the walls and replace it with new
Oh,
stuff. So again, these walls have been boarded up for almost 70 years at this time. He goes into one of the walls and there's a dime sitting there waiting for him. And that dime was not from the 1950s. It was a newer dime. So
what?
and that was one of
Oh,
the many dimes we had been finding from our dogs. But that's one of the coolest things because that wall had to literally come off before he was to receive it.
wow.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
spirit, I don't know why they pick dimes, but there are the most common form of coin people find.
Really?
One of my clients last week, we were connecting with her father who had just transitioned to the other side as well. And she was finding dimes everywhere. And she's on the other side of Canada. So we don't have pennies anymore in Canada. They've been taking over our currency for those of you who don't know that. So her dad was sending dimes. And she said, Dad, just to make sure this is you, can you send me a penny? And sure enough, the next day, there's a penny sitting on her dresser. So she had to like laugh and smile and tell me about that because he was
Oh
telling
my
me I'm sending her the
gosh.
coins. So that's one
Wow.
of our coolest signs. So if you find a dime on the floor, don't think it just came out of the laundry machine or fell from mom's purse or wallet. Start recognizing these symbols and you want to like acknowledge your loved ones because the more you acknowledge their energy and presence, the more they are able to harness that energy and
Mm-hmm.
come in with more signs. Another cool one, Jill, is electrical interferences. So
Lights
lights,
flickering, stuff
yeah.
like us doing the Zoom. Sometimes things could go wrong, and I hear, and all of a sudden I can't hear, and it's staticky. Like I feel like that happens a lot with me. I lost my
Yes.
mom 4.5 years ago, and the light flickers, and I got static sometimes. And everyone at work jokes with me saying, "I think your house is haunted." I'm like, "No, I think it's my mom."
Yeah, you know what? I really strongly feel that too. I just felt like your
Oh,
mom's energy coming through, and I feel like she was really excited that we were bringing this up
aw.
today. So that's awesome. Yeah. So encourage her and just be like, hey, mom, thanks so much. Um, so yeah, electrical interferences, especially on Christmas lights, because they're really trying to say, I am here for the holiday season. So another cool example I had with a client a couple weeks ago, again, her dad on the other side was showing me my client's Christmas tree, him standing beside the Christmas tree and the front door. So, however, he was showing me himself draped in Christmas lights and kind of dancing in these Christmas lights.
Wow.
And so I was like, what is he talking about or what
Doing,
is
and
he
you're like,
doing?
okay.
And she said, well, the lights in between the door and the Christmas tree are the ones that are going crazy all the time. So he was really wanting us to understand that those
Wow.
lights are what he's doing. Like he was literally dancing with them around his neck.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I thought that was
goosebumps.
such yeah, so cool to see. Now, for those of you who aren't feeling like you're receiving these signs, that's okay because sometimes what happens is our loved ones are coming close to us, but it might be so emotional. It might be a fresh
Mm-hmm.
grief you're going through. And so, what our loved ones say is, I try to visit you, but every time I do, you sense my presence and become emotional. So, I pull back a little bit. So, don't
Mm.
fret if you're not receiving these now. It just might take a bit more
Just
time.
curious, how long does it take when someone, an animal or human being passes that you could feel and receive them and you
I
or the
believe.
individual? Like how quick does it happen?
I believe every situation is different. When we do a mediumship reading for one of your loved ones who have crossed over, it is recommended to wait about 6 months because that wall of grief is so thick that mom or dad, they don't want to come through and see you become so emotional. So they want that grief wall to kind of subside a little bit.
Yeah.
However, I have done communications much sooner. And I have done a communication with a dog who had passed less than a week ago. And that dog was able to come through no problem. So I think it's just everyone's experience and how they're feeling about everything is different.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Another sign of our loved ones over the holiday season and throughout the year are birds and butterflies. Spirit loves using birds and butterflies as a way of communicating. Butterflies, they say it's because, it's transformation. They're coming into fruition. They're back in their spiritual body.
Yeah.
One of my clients, she recently lost her husband of 40 years, and she was obviously
Oh,
devastated. Her daughters booked a family session with me. So it was three of them, a granddaughter, and the mom slash grandmother. And her husband came in and was sharing memories of love, and especially over the Christmas season. So this was back in June or July. We were doing this reading, but he
wow.
wanted to talk about Christmas because it's such a special time for family, and the energy is just magic and vibrant.
Wow.
But anyway, after sharing all these beautiful memories, I could tell his wife was still okay. This, I do believe that he's here and sending us these messages, but I need something more. So he said, I'm going to come in a form of a yellow butterfly and land on your hand.
Come on. And this really happened? I'm so reading ahead. I'm sorry.
So within the week, a yellow butterfly came and landed on her hand, and I was so pleased because that's a big step. I'm like, did I hear that correctly? But he was like, it's not just any butterfly; it's the yellow butterfly. So she was sitting on her deck watching the sunset, and this beautiful yellow butterfly just came and sat on her hand and wouldn't leave, just stared at her. So when her daughters contacted me, I just got goosebumps because it was just so amazing and
Wow.
so profound. Like you can't make that stuff up.
No, you can't. That's just, oh my God. And I can imagine because you must deal with some naysayers out there who don't believe or don't. And I bet you, how many times have you proved them wrong?
Yeah, that's
Have you
that's my
made people
goal.
believe? Yeah, that's got to
Yeah.
be a cool power because it's like, no problem. I'm asking you, forcing you. And then all of a sudden it's like people, you could connect to someone in their lives, right? Or their animal, and they must be like freaked out, like, wow, the
Well, and
mountain
that's the
medium.
whole point. Like I want to give evidential information. I don't want to give you something that you might say, oh, you just Googled that or looked on my
Or
Facebook. I
just,
want to give you
yeah.
concrete evidence that I should not know, that your loved one is telling me, or something in that is about to happen. So with the butterfly, she could have gone home and was like, I don't know if that's going to happen, but it did. Another example was one of my clients, her dog had passed away, and her dog was coming through and saying, I want to give my mom all these signs. She has to reach out to me. So my client went to bed that night and said, please give me the strongest sign that I can't deny. And she sent me a video of this, Jill. I should send it to you after the
Come
show.
on.
This cardinal just flying at her window, and then it would fly to her truck come back and fly at the window and just flap around the window. So cardinals and blue jays, for some reason, are super powerful ways of spirit communicating with us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So again, just you have to reach out and ask your loved ones, please come forward.
But a lot of times people can't feel it. We need people like you to help us. We need someone to bridge it all together. So
Well,
you're
and you know, it does take some time, but the thing is, it's trust. You
Mhm.
have to trust mom is there, grandma's there.
Okay.
They love to come through with smells as well. So if you're smelling mom's perfume and it triggers memory,
Mm.
know it's her. Or if you're smelling like piping smoke from grandpa and you haven't smelled it
Wow.
since you were with him when you were a kid, that is grandpa
That's
coming
okay.
forward.
Wow.
Yeah, so pay attention to those smells. Around the holidays, people have said to get smells of mom's baking. You know, that recipe that you still can't pinpoint.
Pinpoint
Mom
what
was
it
the
is.
best
Yep.
one
Mhm.
to do it, you know, but that smell will come waft through the kitchen.
Okay.
And so the more you pay attention and trust
Your
that it is your loved ones, the easier it is to come forward. And unfortunately, trust is the hardest part of this
yes.
whole process.
Now, could you share some, testimonials and, some stories about how other stories, how like you wowed people with their animals, with their loved ones, with, I mean, you've told me in the past, but any of stories, that for our new listeners here today that you could share how it goes down?
Yeah, so a great example is a couple weeks ago, I was talking with someone who had lost their dog again. And another wow factor is proving that this is actually happening. So she was based in Wisconsin. And again, I'm up in more northern Canada. So I'm not near her at all, but we're having this conversation. And her dogs, who are still in the physical, they actually butted into the conversation and they
What?
said, yeah, they're saying, we see the deceased dog you're talking to in the corner of the kitchen. So I asked my client, I said, are your dogs, because she has two in the living now, are your dogs staring at the kitchen corner for some reason? She's like, oh my goodness, yes, for the past 2 weeks, they have not stopped staring in this corner. So her dog on the other side decided, hey, I'm just going to hang out in that corner for a while. And um, she wanted to hang out now in that corner because Thanksgiving and Christmas are so close together. So
Aw.
he wanted to recognize that he loves turkey and mashed potatoes. And so when he would get the table scraps, he would always kind of sit around that corner
That
area.
corner. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So he wanted to be like, hey, mom, I'm still here. I'm waiting for those scraps. And I love this time of year. So she was
Wow.
just blown away. She's like, wow. So now every time she sees her dogs like staring into the corner, she'll acknowledge her
Being
dog who is on the other side.
That's beautiful. That is
Mhm.
beautiful to hear. Wow. It gives me such hope and so like elation, like to know that they're still around us. And it's so hard for the normal folk to comprehend this, but I believe. But for someone like you really believe, it's just so fascinating. I mean, wow. You give comfort in so many people with what you do.
Well, and that's the whole point of this work, is to help those understand that life continues on. Our relationships are not over, whether it's with a human or family member or pet. It continues. It's just in a
Yeah.
different form. And it is possible to strengthen that bond
Okay.
while the other individual is on the other side. You can have a deeper relationship with someone on the other side than you did in this form. And that's what's really cool. And it's, again, Jill, it's really about that trust. And unfortunately, the only way we can trust is if
As if
we do it ourselves. So I can help you, give you the evidence and the messages from mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, but
But
you have to do kind of the work as well. You
got it.
have to recognize those dimes on the floor. Like, okay, grandma's sending you dimes. She's going to send you one under the bowl in the kitchen today. You go to make your breakfast in the morning and there's a dime under the bowl. Hey, that was a coincidence, but it's not. It's not. So it's up to you to really harness that
Okay.
and open to that. So,
Wow.
and that's the tough part. That's the tough part. But if you do sense them, ask them to come closer. Be like, Mom, I smell your perfume. Come closer. I'm ready to feel
Feel
you
you.
and to
Aw.
be with you again. So, and you can ask them to come at any comfortable distance for you. So if it is still very raw and emotional, just ask them to come in slowly and give you this small pieces of evidence now until you get that strength back.
Got it. All right. Wow. This is fascinating. Now, as far as, it's jamiebreeze.com. And again, animals, humans, it's just anyone comes to you. Do you have a preference for one or the other? Is there, you know,
I have fun with both. I think it's so crazy when it feeling the energy flow when you're communicating with an individual on the other side is like being on a roller coaster. It has its super high and elation, and you kind of feel like on fire afterwards. I think spirit just has the most amazing energy. So I enjoy communicating with both the
so
same.
when you say you're a psychic and a medium, so when you tap into the past, the deceased loved one, is that mediumship? And then
Yeah,
psychic is future. So then you also can see into,
yes,
how does that
yes.
work? Explain the difference.
Okay, so mediumship, the word mediumship comes from like you're meeting in the middle. So spirit is lowering their vibration and I'm increasing mine. So we're
Hmm.
meeting on a middle plane.
Okay.
And whereas psychic is the energy is coming forward. So if I'm doing a psychic reading to you, I'll tap into your auric field.
Okay.
So, and I like to do a combination of both for people as well. So if you're coming for a mediumship reading, let's do some psychic work too. Why
Okay.
not ask mom or dad on the other side for guidance in your
Okay.
career or family or love life? They know what's up. So what we usually do is we'll start on a mediumship level because the vibration is higher, and then we can bring that energy down into the auric field. So I love doing combination readings. And same
Wow.
with your pets when we're communicating with them on the other side or when they're in the physical, they are psychic. So they can give us psychic information. So your dog can predict your future.
That is crazy. That is
Yeah.
crazy. How does it work with, it's just so fascinating to me. I can't stop at it. It's like how. I know you can't really explain how, but clearly this is work that you do, and it's amazing. The type of people that walk away and they must be changed, believing and feeling so good. And around the holidays, especially like you mentioned, it could be a very happy but depressing time of year. Makes a great gift, right?
Yeah,
To
I
get a
think so.
reading.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely intangible. Um, Another example, if we have time, is dogs and cats sensing the loved ones coming into the room. So again, paying attention to your animal's reactions.
Is
Um,
key.
yeah, one of my clients, her dog kept looking up the stairs, and she was like, "Why is my dog looking up the stairs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Grandpa's here. Do you smell piping smoke in the hallway?" And she's like, "Yes, I smell piping smoke." And he also brings the smell of fires, like bonfires. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Well, we always had bonfires when he was here in the physical." I'm like, "Okay, well, he wants you to start enjoying that family time again with bonfires because they kind of stopped having them after
Wow.
he passed away." So he's communicating through her dog to kind of get the dog to be like, "Hey mom, pay attention.
Wake
Like
up.
we need to do these family rituals again. We stopped after grandpa died and they want us to continue."
Wow. Wow. Blown away here. Okay. So what else do you want our listeners to know about you, your services, and how you could be, of service? My goodness, Jamie. You're in Jasper, you mentioned National Park in Canada, but she's worldwide. She works everywhere in the world. And Jamie Breeze, it's JAIMEBREEZ.com. And on social media, the Mountain Medium.
The Mountain Medium on
Perfect.
Instagram.
Perfect. So what else
Yeah.
do you want to share with us? We have a few minutes left.
Yeah. So if you do contact me and you just want to chat about what's going on in your life, please reach out. So again, my goal is to give you that peace and comfort and knowing that your relationships have not ended. There is an afterlife. And we're here for a short time. That is our home. That's where we thrive. And the energy comes through so easily onto this planet. We just have to recognize it. And again, the whole trust thing. So please feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, if you want to chat, we can discuss if a reading is what you need. I believe it is the greatest source of healing. There's a lot of information that has been left unsaid before someone transitions. So we carry a lot of guilt, shame, sadness with us. And, if we feel like we need to heal that, it's such a perfect way to do so.
Wow. Could you describe to us, what is it like over there to make us feel better? What is it like? There's no pain, what are they doing? What happens? Do you have a job? Are you what happened?
Well, in my experience, from what I've been shown, is just this beautiful, amazing place with higher vibrations. And did you ever see that movie with Robin Williams, What Dreams May Come?
No, but is that what it's like?
Yeah, kind of like that.
I gotta write that down because I've heard of it.
Like beautiful and all these colors and flowers. I believe we do have jobs. What they are, I don't exactly know. I know there's so much more that I haven't been shown yet or told. But I think our loved ones can be in multiple places at once. And I don't fully grasp how that works, but I know it's like that.
And do you get to shut it off at all? I mean, or is it always on? Like if you're walking in the store, does someone come to you and you're at the grocery store and you're like, hey man, just letting you know, I have a message, or can you shut it off?
Yeah. So after I have a client, I do a small ritual to shut off from their loved ones. However, the energy is always there. So I will be, yes, walking in a store and someone's loved one on the other side might tap me on the shoulder and say something, or I might just get an energetic vibe. But typically I do shut it off. However, it's always on my mind. I am always talking to spirit, mainly my angels and spirit guides.
Yeah.
They're the whole part of my life. And it's funny because I have asked my friends, well, don't you always talk to yours? And
they're like
no. Yeah. We have this kind of joke in my house that my boyfriend says I'm terrible at doing the dishes. And I said to him, I'm talking to a spirit while I'm doing the dishes. So if I don't clean them properly, it's because I'm distracted. So it's
good
kind
excuse,
of this,
but
yeah, it's kind of this joke now that I can't do dishes because I'm always talking to a spirit. So but it's true. It's always going through my mind. So if you're my client, yes, I shut it off. However, in my own daily life, there's always something happening.
Well, thank you. Jamie Breeze, remind us again how we can reach out to you.
So JamieBreeze.com, it's JAIMEBREEZE.com, and on Instagram at The Mountain Medium.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, for joining us and for enlightening us, and happy holidays to you.
Yes, you too, Jill. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Same here. Will we after the holiday?
Yes.
Great.
Next week.
Enjoy, sweetheart. Pleasure having you here. Thank you. The Mountain Medium on Instagram. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.